You're listening to the icandemy podcast, the podcast for people who can but don't know how. This is where you get actionable steps to turn vague dreams into blissful realities. And I'm your host, Omoshola Victoria Wolabi. So let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the icandemy podcast. How are you all doing today? Well, for me, my week has been solemn, has been very quiet, a lot of introspection going on, just based on the news. I don't listen to the news a lot, but this week I just messed around and got a whiff of what was going on in the news, so to speak. And it's just left me heartbroken. So this episode is going to be a very solemn one. Bear with me. Just because I just need to get this off my chest, really. And I was thinking of what to title this episode, but I decided I'm just going to give it a title, The Price of Pride. So the price that we pay when we let pride take over our rational thinking. And for those of you who don't know, it's been making rounds in the media this week about a 12-year-old boy, I'd say 11 because he died a day short of his 12th year birthday, who was beaten at a boarding house in Lagos, Nigeria, a private boarding school in Lagos, Nigeria, apparently by a group of 5 boys, apparently because he snitched on them or something like that. And I'm actually making the air quotes here around snitched. And it just took me back to my days because I also, went to secondary school and I was a boarder. I was in boarding school as well, and I was there for 6 years, right? And it just really, what is happening now is not entirely new. It's been part of the culture and the system in Nigerian education for so many years. It's just rather so unfortunate now that somebody, a child with a promising future, has died because of this atrocious culture that has to happen. And it's not just the fact that this happened at the school. For me, it's the way the school responded. At first, trying to cover it up, trying to support the claim that was unsubstantiated given by the perpetrators of this act that this boy got injured while he was playing football. But his injuries did not align with the story. And instead of the school to probe and dig in further, they were buying up that story and actually published a letter saying this boy got injured playing soccer. Who was there? Was the principal a witness to this soccer game where the boy got injured? I would imagine that as the head of a school, if she was not present, she would not put out a statement like that, because she put out that statement as if it was definite that she witnessed this happen by herself. And it just got to show the quality of leadership that we have in valuable institutions such as a school, where children are supposed to go and get shaped for the leaders that they will become tomorrow. The photos of this child written in so much pain has been circulating all around social media, and it breaks my heart into a million pieces. Why? I'm also a mother. I also have a son, and I cannot just get those images out of my mind. Seeing that child in so much pain and eventually passes on from his injuries. And again, it's not only the fact that they ganged up to beat him up, he was also threatened that if he ever said the truth about what happened, they would come back and do more. And they threatened the witnesses that were there as well. So this boy did not even tell his parents the truth on time. Probably if he did, they would have been able to get medical intervention more than what they sought, because they just did not know. They were still going with the story of he got injured in a game of soccer. And it just made me think the audacity that these boys had to inflict that amount of injury on a child, and thinking to themselves that they were able to get away with that. It boils down for me to pride. Pride thinking you can do stuff and get away with it and no one will find out. Nothing will happen. Okay, family, let's face it. We've all felt pain. We've suffered the losses. You know what it's like to want something so bad, but not see a path to its accomplishment. The question, however, is, do you know how to pick yourself up and move on despite what has happened? This is what I share with you inside of my new book, Good Medicine for the Crushed Spirit, a practical guide to helping you find purpose when adversity strikes. Inside this book, you will find personal stories, relatable biblical tales, and anecdotes that prove you are never alone in your despair and will inspire you to turn pain, discomfort, disappointment, or setbacks into something positive that works for you. So if you're ready to change your life in meaningful and purposeful ways, get your copy of this book today and let the transformation begin. Also, last week, there was a news of Ahmaud Aubrey sentencing. For those of you who don't know, this is a young man who was jogging in the streets in America, in the Glen County area, and he was pursued by 3 white men. And so Ahmaud Aubrey is a young black man, and he was pursued by 3 white men when they saw him jogging in the neighborhood. So this men apparently thought he was a criminal, right? And they pursued him. Now I can understand, maybe they live in that neighborhood, they're concerned for the safety of their neighborhood. I can understand that. So if you suspect somebody, maybe somebody you have not seen before in your neighborhood, and you want to perform a citizen's arrest, you can do that while you wait for the police to arrive. It was 3 of you versus 1 man. There's no way he would have outrun you guys. But no, they didn't do that. They took the laws into their own hands and shot this boy, this young man, point blank, dead in the streets in the afternoon. Right. So I was thinking to myself, what would make somebody, and for me, it's not even the fact that they committed the crime that really blew my mind to the level of pride that they carried within them. It was the fact that after this had happened, right, and it was obviously reported to the police, because the perpetrator of this act was a former police officer, according to a CNN report, right? So the CNN report says this guy was a former police officer. So when the crime originally happened, the police did not want to arrest the guy who perpetrated this crime. They let it slide, right? But this man, because they let it slide, obviously rumors started going around that these people have just killed a young man, and they're just walking the streets as though nothing happened. So the fact that people were talking about them bothered them so much. It bothered them to the extent. So these people were, after they had committed the crime that killed Ahmaud Aubrey in the street, they were still free for 2 weeks. What bothered them was the fact that rumors were beginning to make the rounds, right? People were beginning to talk about it, and they were not happy with that. They were not happy with the fact that people were talking about them. So they decided, apparently, one of the men, the neighbor who followed them to perform the citizen's arrest, was videoing the whole thing and caught it on camera when one of the accused shot this young man dead in the streets. So because they were bothered, right, according to the CNN article that I read, they were bothered about the rumors going on with their name. They decided to take the footage. They decided to take the footage of the shooting to a radio station, in order to prove their innocence. So it tells us that in their own eyes, they didn't see what they did as they did anything wrong. So they took the video and they took it to a radio station, and the radio station published that video on their website. And that was how this news went viral. And the whole world was in shock at the audacity. And so if only they knew. So they literally took their own video to the media to publish it, because in their own eyes, they thought they were doing the right thing. And it just reminds me of Proverbs 16:25 that says, there's a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. And in Proverbs 30:12, it says there's a generation that are pure in their own eyes and yet is not washed of their filthiness. I think this thing's happening ought to be a stark reminder that nobody is above the law. We cannot decide to end another person's life because of our own perceptions, whether be it secondary school children or adult males, white males who think they can, they feel threatened by the sight of another race or color that makes them feel uncomfortable. I can understand their apprehension, right? But they didn't have to kill that man. That is why there is a justice system. That is why the police are there. Let them do their job. Hand him over if you suspect him to be a criminal, and let the police verify and validate whether he is or not. They didn't have to take laws into their own hand and kill him on the streets. The same way with this story of the 12-year-old boy who has been murdered dying of the injuries he was afflicted on in a school, a place of learning where he was supposed to be safe. It beats me. So I don't know how to come to terms with it. It has kept me up at night. I've not been able to sleep because of it. It keeps replaying in my head over and over again to say, how did we get here as a society? And I want us to know that there is a price to pay when we let our pride, our ego, get ahead of us. So that's me for this episode. Thank you so much for indulging me. And as always, keep on shining. So there you have it. Thank you so much for listening. And for more content like this, follow us on our social media handles. On Facebook, it's at icandemy, the Facebook page. On Instagram, it's at icandemy. Or come say hello over on my personal page. On Instagram, it's at Omoshola Speaks. On Facebook, it's Victoria Wallaby. Feel free to reach out, introduce yourself, say hello. I love meeting you. And if you have any stories that you feel will inspire another woman to action, I want to hear from you. I really do. I love hearing from you. Send me an email to hello@icandemy.org. So it's hello@icandemy.org.